So, Josh, tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us how did you end up in Columbus, Ohio for MMA?
Well, I was born and raised in Kailua, Hawaii. Um, Lived there most of my life. After high school, nothing was really going on for me, so I had the opportunity to move out here with a good friend of mine. He taught parkour and gymnastics, and I learned capoeira from him. And I was going to get into get a boxing match for the Arnold Classic originally. Haven't seen snow before, haven't experienced the mainland. Well, I went to California for a little bit, in Florida, but never experienced like the true mainland, I guess. But it was a bit of a cultural shock when I was getting ready for that boxing match for the Arnold. I thought I was Rocky Balboa running out in the snow, and I got sick with pneumonia. Missed out on that, sadly. But I was helping that same friend out with one of the parkour events at the Arnold Classic. It was American Ninja Warrior with Michelle Warnke. We helped her make a couple warp walls. And right after that, we went to Rude Dog, and I met Matt Brown there and got to talking with him. And I was like, I always had aspirations, and I've been a lifelong martial artist training since I was very young, but I never got to experience that side of the training aspect, and I always wanted to. I didn't know where to start. And then somebody yells, "The champ is here," and Israel Adesanya walks in. He had just gotten done with a press conference in Cleveland. I believe Stipe was fighting, what's his name?
Overeem?
Yeah, Overeem, Alistair Overeem. It was during that press conference. And he randomly came to Rude Dog, and I, fangirling, "Oh, can I get your autograph?" Blah, blah, blah. And he was asking me where I'm from and stuff like that. And I always said I wanted to fight, and I didn't know where. And he points over at Matt, and he's like, "That's where you start. That's where you get your foot in the door." And after training for about a week at Matt's gym, I took my first fight, and I lost. And I haven't lost since, and I haven't looked back. And it's the most important fight I've had because it let me know how bad I really wanted it.
And what did you learn with that fight? That's a quick turnaround for a fight.
Man, you can have the best striking in the world, but I had no idea about that Midwest wrestling, man. No idea about the grappling. I did judo, I did jiu-jitsu, all that kind of stuff. But wrestling was the one thing I had never experienced before. And it was... I tagged him up on the feet. He took me down. I got back up. He took me down again, took my back, and it was over. And just the way that he was able to seamlessly transition between the striking and the grappling and the clinch, that was the one thing that I needed the most. So when I met Mark Coleman, that was the one thing that he just had me wrestle. And he just kept yelling at me, "Don't stop pulling guards, stop doing this." And thankfully, working with Jimmy Lobo and Professor Cameron Knight, and even Dante, when I was Dante Leon and Max and Lawson and Josh and all those guys from Adamus. It's a huge honor, and I get to train with some of the best, if not the best grapplers in the world, and it's great.
So talk us through your progression. How have you went from that one fight, losing, realizing you won it, and now you're on the brink of your first fight at ONE FC?
I really didn't think I'd get this far, to be completely honest. I just kept my head down, and I just did the things that nobody wanted to do. Everybody says they want to train, they want to do this, they want to do that, and I just kept my head down and just kept training as hard as I could. Giving up shifts at the restaurant that I was working at, just to be able to get that much more time, that much more experience on the mats, that much more experience getting sparring in. I knew how to throw a wheel kick before a jab, so I needed that, and you got to make sacrifices, and a lot of people don't want to make those sacrifices. They find excuses. Oh, and believe me, I dragged my feet, before a Tuesday morning session like we had this morning. Sometimes I look at my shoes for a good 15 minutes before I put them on. But it's Matt told me, don't do your best, do what is necessary, and I I've been following that little saying ever since, and I apply that to everything in life, not just training, uh, but to my life as well.
How important is the gym culture to you? Like the culture at Immortal, the culture at Westside. How does that benefit and aid you?
It's fantastic. The camaraderie is amazing. There's that competition aspect of, I did this today, or I hit this PR today, and I did just that's everybody is growing at the same time, but it's still extremely competitive, and I love every second of it. And it just goes to show you that even though you are by yourself fighting in there, it's the people that you train with and the people you choose to train with, and I choose to train with the best training partners in the world at Westside and Immortal, and Grove City and Pilgers Boxing and everywhere else that I'm able to get to. But Immortal and Westside, they're my home, and I wouldn't want to change it any other way.
What was that like for you coming over here? And like, what was your experience of your version of strength and conditioning to what you're doing now?
Oh, dude, you guys are like picking up cars and buses and stuff over here. I'd always talk to Miles Robinson, a good friend and training partner, and he would tell horror stories of the old West Side, with like the war wagon walking around the building, or with the bar on your guys' back, and people are falling over outside. So I'm like, the first time I walked in there, I was shaking. I was like, oh, okay, it's not as bad as he had said it was, but it was still some of the most intense training. I remember I almost threw up. I need to take a second, bring it back. But now being able to, since I've been so consistent, it's my strength and conditioning is just skyrocketed, and it just amplifies my techniques. I can I can spar and train and grapple for much longer and faster and stronger. My muscles aren't getting fatigued, and it's a completely different aspect. Feel like a superhero almost. It's pretty cool.
Well, and I was pumped, like you said that this morning, is that you're seeing the training or the strength conditioning going into your training.
Mm.
And because we try proposing that we're trying to give you the best possible advantage to obtain skill and obviously reduce the risk of injury. But you're kind of just rehashing that you're actually able to get more out of your training. But the consistency is the factor, because those first few weeks, you have to take a back step.
Mm.
Because it hinders your training, because you're like, how the heck am I supposed to do this? But then, do you remember the first few days where you're like, oh, wait a minute, I can actually do strength and conditioning and my skill sets?
Yeah. There's, I guess, a common misconception that like people, oh, you can't lift too heavy and your technique is gonna falter, or it's not gonna be as good, or you're not gonna be as fluid or fast. That's completely false. I'm noticing that I'm even faster and stronger, man. It's absolutely fantastic. I can maintain my power for round after round after round after round. My arms don't get burnt out because I'm not trying to hold on to a submission, trying to burn my arms out. I can use my technique and apply the pressure and the necessary strength when I have that submission in, or I can touch and then sit down on a shot. It's instead of just, well, of course I can maintain the power the entire time, but it's awesome. It's just great.
Have you found any issues with your weight?
My last fight, I did put on a little bit more muscle, and the cut was a little hard. I was able to get back to 145. I do fight at 25, of course, but I just felt like my strikes weren't as sharp, but my grappling was absolutely fantastic. The guy was a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. Good grappler. Submitted Anthony Pettis' nephew. He was undefeated, all finishes, but I canceled out everything that he had he threw up triangles and arm bars, and I just kept him there, and I just touched him with the elbows, and the damage accumulated to where he started getting fatigued. And when I saw the opportunity to jump a triangle, which I never thought I would ever do, ever, but when you train something so much, it's almost choreographed. You're doing something so many times that you don't even have to think about it. You just
do.
You just do.
I'm not sure if you know, but two people, Miles obviously vouched for you. And if someone vouches for you, they put their membership up. So he did vouch for you and Josiah. And then Dorian. Dorian was another person who was like, dude, you got to understand this kid. And it's crazy how everything comes full circle, that this program initially started with Matt. And then we met Dorian about 6 months after. And to have this next generation of you guys coming through, and like the horror stories were right, because we were going to the absolute max, and now we definitely have a way more refined system. But to see these guys coming back into the Westside world talking about fighters again is pretty cool from our aspect. What was it like to work with him, with Dorian?
I've worked with him a couple times, and it's just a completely different side of Muay Thai. His foot sweeps, him and Matt's patented foot sweeps, the clinch, the knees, the pressure. It's almost when you lock up with somebody, especially in an MMA fight, they think you want to grapple. But no, it shuts down. When I lock up with somebody, I want to take away the grappling, get the elbows and the knees. It's just brutality, but it's an art. It's beautiful. Death by 1,000 cuts, almost. It's something that one of the many aspects of martial arts, and turning it into my own martial art, my mixed martial art. It's amazing. So I have the fast kicks and the fast hands on the outside, but I have the brutal elbows on the inside. The Mark Coleman and Cameron Knight and Jimmy Lobo grappling. Like it's well, I know there's always room for improvement, but everything's working. Why would I change it? And just working with I haven't worked with Dorian in quite some time, but he will most likely be in my corner for the next one fight, which is going to be pretty legendary because he used to fight in Lumpini as well.
If we can talk, like, what does one championship mean to you to fight it for that organization? And what is that organization?
Fighting for one for me is fighting for the largest martial arts organization in the world, not just strictly MMA like the UFC, but kickboxing, grappling, and Muay Thai. All the different styles of fighting that draws people's attentions. It's not, and also it's a way of life for some people. Look at Muay Thai for the people of Thailand. It's almost a religion. Yeah. And being a part of that and being just a part of an organization that takes Muay Thai and all these different arts that are separate, but when on the same card, it's almost seamless, and it's seeing all the different art forms together. It's a beautiful thing. Everybody loves the showmanship. Everybody loves the WWE aspect of it, but for one, you show up and you scrap. It's great. It's great. I was never a fan of like the trash talk or anything like that, but yeah. I love the martial arts, and I just want to get in there and fight, and to be a part of this great organization. I'm truly honored, and I will put everything into this, my heart and soul.
When did you first find out that this was an opportunity?
I'll go back a little bit too. I had met Rich Franklin when I was an 0-1 amateur, and he was president, I believe, at the time. And he was just saying, no, keep it up. And years down the line, I meet him again. I'm a 5-0 professional. And I tell him, hey, I'm going to fight for your organization one day. And he was like, oh, okay, cool. Send me your profile. And then my manager and Matt send me a contract, 6-fight deal. And of course, I had my doubts. Am I ready? But I won't know if I'm ready till I step in there. So I'm excited to bring what I have to the table, and we'll see how far I get. But when I found out, I was like, holy crap, I'm going to be in one. I'm going to be in one. And like I said, I'm not going to spoil this opportunity, and I'm going to bring, I know I'm fighting by myself in there, but I'm going to show all of the hours and hours and hours of training, all turn into one just beautiful performance for sure. A spectacle.
I got you. How hard is it to balance? Probably balance is not such a thing, but work, life, training, and trying to get ready for this fight.
It's pretty tough, you know. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it, of course.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I have a wonderful woman in my girl Tiffany. She helps me prep my meals out. She helps me with my schedule. She helps me with everything. She's a huge part of all of my fights, all of just everything in general. And I made her a promise that all the time that she's put into me, I will give back to her and double it and quadruple it. You know, she's dedicated her whole life to help me out, and it's just I'm just incredibly blessed to have her in my life. And also, thankfully, I work pretty close to the gym too. So as soon as I'm off, I just run straight to the gym. I actually just quit my serving gig as well, so I can dedicate my whole everything to it. I also work at the gym. I teach the morning classes, and I help out with memberships and make phone calls and stuff like that as well. But yeah, it's. I try not to overthink anything anymore. Of course, I do still, but it's you just kind of deal with it, kind of go with the flow. That's about it.
Well, it's not something you can do if you're not all in.
Yeah.
And many a fighter has started sleeping on the couch in someone's house for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's when you get that opportunity is to take it like you are doing.
Yeah.
What's it been like having Matt Brown as a head coach? Because you kind of came in right at around the time of he is actually retiring.
Brutal. You know, he's a great dude, but man, he is brutal. He makes the pads sessions feel like you're fighting for your life. You know, that, like I said, the training should be harder than any fight. And we've been strictly working on the fundamentals, making sure everything is sharp, making sure we have the proper rotations in the shoulders, the proper force that is necessary. You know, and it's and also sparring him. He's not cool. I remember he hit me with a hook and he flashed me one time, and my head went down, and he threw a knee right up the middle and he cut me right above my eye. And he's like, "Whoa, why'd you put your head down, man? Why'd you dip down?" I was like, "Dude, you hit me with a hook." But anyway, he's a I've always looked up to him as a fighter. I remember I used to sneak in to this bar called the Shack back home, and he was like one of the main events for he fought Eric Silva.
That's in Cincy, right?
Yeah, and a couple other fights, and I never thought in a million years I'd ever get the opportunity to train with this guy, you know, and especially his life story.
What's it like to pick his brain? Like, what's his like him passing on fight knowledge? What's that like?
Well, it's kind of, he even brings that up a lot as well. I know we're different weight classes, and I'm faster, and he is a little bit more plodding forward. But he is a huge believer in the fundamentals, because the fundamentals, no matter how fast you are, the older you get, the speed starts to slow down. So if you keep working on the fundamentals, you will be technically sound later into your career. So he likes my spinning techniques and my speed, but he's like, that shit won't work. This might work, but if you this won't work. But if you can prove me wrong, then I'm gonna shut up, kind of thing, you know. But it's being able to pick his brain I did this fight and this fight because of this, that, and this. It's fantastic. It's a experience that you can't find almost anywhere else, you know.
And then you brought up the hammer.
Yeah, Coleman.
What's it like being around Mark?
You know, you can have most of the days they're like, oh, we're gonna have a chill day. And then all of a sudden Coleman walks in. It's not a chill day. It's you're doing 100 arm circles. You're doing. I didn't know how to throw a suplex, and he was having me carry around a 160-pound bag. Suplex. I was like, I don't know how to do that. So I'm doing my best, but it's intense. He brings that old school grit, and it's just being there in with another legend as well. It's just unbelievable, because I remember he was one of the first guys I ever saw. It was like on Spike TV with Pride and everything. It's just what else can I say? What else can I say? My wrestling's gotten better because of the small little aspects he's been able to help me with. I know I haven't seen him in a while. He's got his own things going on, but you know, no matter what, whenever he's in that room, it's always no one's pulling guard.
Yeah. Well, he's one of those rare people that when he walks into a room, you know he's there, and you just give the man the respect he deserves.
Oh, absolutely. And shoot, I remember before my LFA 180 fight, he was in that fire, and me and Matt were gonna try and go up and visit him, but by then he was already talking, and he still had some stuff in his lungs, of course, but he was just a hero, you know. And 2 weeks later, he drove all the way down to Louisville to watch me fight, or help corner me fight and help me get ready. And I knew for a fact, this is the greatest team I've ever been a part of. I'm not going anywhere, and well, that's a legend right there, you know. Like, who else? Anybody else would be like, I'm just gonna take it easy. Good luck, you know. Yeah. But he drove down there, and you know, made sure I got ready. It was cool. It was phenomenal.
When did you first meet Josiah?
I met Josiah at one of the OCL events. He was I think the co-main, and I was the main event for the amateurs. We both finished our opponents in the first round, and I remember we were warming up, and we were talking backstage, and like, oh, we should train sometime. And then Matt officially introduces us. And ever since then, he's just been like a great training partner. We train upwards of 4, almost 5 times a week, you know, at Westside, and then we go to Grove City on the weekends. We go to Immortal, and sometimes we don't even have rounds, you know. We just put a time on, we just go. Our longest go was about almost an hour, like 58 minutes or so. And someone that fast and that athletic for how big he is, and I know I'm pretty fast, but he's a phenomenal athlete, and I'm so very excited that he's finally getting the opportunity to fight again, because he got screwed over a couple times. But yeah, he's just an amazing training partner, great friend, and I'm excited to see him compete this weekend.
To start wrapping this up, where can people watch One?
Prime time, baby.
It's crazy.
Amazon Prime. Yeah. One Fight Night 129 or 29 or something like that. I think I'm one of the first fights. I'll be fighting at like 9 a.m. in the morning over there, but 9 p.m. over here.
That's so crazy thing people don't realize.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm always down to get down, though. Always down for a scrap.
Well, Josh, we wish you the best of luck. We'll check back in after the fight. Appreciate the time.
Yeah, appreciate you for this awesome ride, and I'll keep on keeping on.